Good morning class, I am Shomajit sir. Today I am here to deliver my lecture on topic respiration, and I'll describe about or discuss about the types of respiration. So watch the entire video lecture to get basics out of it. So let's start with the topic respiration and its type. This is from the chapter life processes. So let's start. So let's start with the topic respiration. This is from the chapter life processes. Now, what is a respiration? See, respiration, it's a biological process, all right, and it occurs in stages and requires many enzymes. And the main purpose of respiration is the release of energy from the oxidation of simple food molecules like the glucose, all right, and it is a complex process. And respiration includes breathing as well as the oxidation of food in the cells of organism to release energy. All right, so respiration includes breathing, okay, and it produces ATP. That means produces energy in the form of ATP. Now, what is a breathing? So breathing, what is a breathing? It's a mechanism by which an organism obtain what? Oxygen from air and releases carbon dioxide. It's called breathing. And breathing is a physical process. So respiration is a process by which food is burnt in the cells of the body with the help of oxygen, right, to release energy. It takes place in the mitochondria of the cells. So we know that in respiration, the food is burnt, and it allows presence of oxygen, right, with the help of oxygen, and releases what? Energy, and it takes place in the mitochondria. And the energy that is released during respiration is used to make ATP molecules. What is ATP? That is adenosine triphosphate from ADP molecules. What is ADP? Adenosine diphosphate. So whenever adenosine diphosphate, that means ADP plus phosphate, phosphate means inorganic phosphate, it produces energy, all right, from respiration. So ADP plus phosphate give rise to ATP, and the energy is stored in the cells in the form of ATP molecules. So when the cells need energy, ATP is broken down in the presence of water to form ADP, and the energy is released. So we know that ADP plus IP, that's inorganic phosphate, produces ATP. The reversible reaction also takes place. ATP can be also broken down, all right, in the presence of water to give ADP plus energy. Now certain types of reactions are there. There are mainly two types of reaction. One is aerobic respiration, another is anaerobic respiration. Now what is aerobic and what is anaerobic? So we can see that from the term aerobic means what? In presence of oxygen, and anaerobic means what? In absence of oxygen. So aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, and it produces more energy. The end products are what? Carbon dioxide, water, and energy, and it takes place in most organisms. So in aerobic respiration, glucose is converted to pyruvate, and the pyruvate is converted to carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now this glucose is converted to pyruvate where? It is in the cytoplasm and in the presence of oxygen. So again I repeat, glucose in presence of oxygen where? It is in the cytoplasm, converts glucose into pyruvate. And the pyruvate again in presence of oxygen where? In the mitochondria, give carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So this is a very important reaction. You have to memorize it, you have to practice it, and this reaction is very important. This is for aerobic respiration. Next we move to anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration takes place where? In the absence of oxygen, obviously, and it produces what? It produces less amount of energy as compared to aerobic respiration, okay, and the end products are what? It can be lactic acid or ethanol and carbon dioxide and energy, and it takes place in both muscle cells and yeast cell. So there are two different types of anaerobic respiration. One is taking place in the muscle cell, another is taking place in the yeast cell. All right. So in the muscle cell, there is an anoxygenic state. That means there is a lack of oxygen. And in the yeast cell, there is an absence of oxygen. You have to understand the difference between lack of oxygen and absence of oxygen. So in absence of oxygen, fermentation takes place in yeast, and in lack of oxygen, it takes place in muscle cells of a human. So in anaerobic respiration in muscle cells, glucose is converted into pyruvate. All right, so the glucose is converted into pyruvate. In absence of oxygen, the pyruvate is again converted into lactic acid and energy. Understood? So glucose in presence of oxygen in the cytoplasm produces pyruvate, and this pyruvate in absence of oxygen in muscle cells produces lactic acid and energy. In anaerobic respiration in yeast, glucose is converted into pyruvate. Again, for fermentation reaction, here is a total absence of oxygen. The glucose is converted into pyruvate. This is in presence of oxygen, where in the cytoplasm, and this pyruvate is again converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. This also in absence of oxygen in yeast cell. All right. So in yeast, the glucose is converted into pyruvate, and the pyruvate is converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. And in muscle cells, glucose is converted into pyruvate, and then pyruvate is converted into lactic acid and energy. So in the entire process of aerobic and anaerobic, the common step is glucose is converted to pyruvate in the presence of oxygen in the cytoplasm. All right. So we can see here in anaerobic respiration in muscle cells, where it's a lack of oxygen, glucose is converted to lactic acid. You have to memorize this. Glucose is converted to lactic acid. And in anaerobic respiration in yeast cell, in fermentation reaction, glucose is converted into ethanol. Right? 2 is converted to pyruvate, and the pyruvate is converted to ethanol. So these are the complete reaction you can see, and I've summarized in a page. So see, the common step I've said, glucose is converted into pyruvate. Where? In the cytoplasm. How? In the presence of oxygen. So this step is common. And next, we have three different types, one for aerobic and two for anaerobic. One is presence of oxygen, you see, where it takes place in mitochondria, what it produces, carbon dioxide, water and energy. Next, in absence of oxygen, where in muscle cells produces what? Lactic acid and energy. Third, in absence of oxygen, in yeast, where in yeast produces what? Ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. This is a very important reaction. You have to memorize it, you have to practice it, and it always comes in examination. Now for respiration in plants, we see plants also respire, isn't it? So respiration can be seen in both, in all roots, stems and leaves. So for leaves, it takes place by means of stomata. Alright, so in leaves, it takes place by means of stomata. In stem, it takes place by means of lenticel. Lenticels are the spore or the pores that are present on the stem of a plant. And respiration in root, by root hair, by the process of diffusion and cell to cell osmosis. Alright. Next is respiration in animal. So we can see that I have given here different animals, how they respire, and different mechanisms are there, because animals are from primitive to higher animals. So you can see the planaria and amoeba by cell membrane, it does its respiration. For earthworm and leech, through moist skin. Alright, cutaneous respiration it does. Next, fish, prawn and tadpoles respire through gills. Next, frog respire through moist skin and lungs. Next, grasshopper, mosquito and housefly, it respires through spiracles and ear tubes. Second last, next is birds, lizard and terrestrial animals respire through lungs. And last is human being, it respires through lungs. So student, you can see certain homework questions are there. You should complete it, and if you watch this entire video, these questions are very easy. You have to write it down in your fair copy, fair biology copy, and I'll see on the next day. First is define respiration and breathing. Second is write down the reaction in which glucose is broken into various pathways. Third, define aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Everything is given. Respiration definition is given in this video. Breathing definition is given. Second question is also given, that three reactions of aerobic, one reaction of aerobic and two for anaerobic, define aerobic, everything is given. And last is write at least 3 differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Everything is given, all are easy. Alright. Thank you student. This was all about today's video lecture. Here I have discussed about the respiration and its type from the chapter life processes. Watch the entire video lecture to get basics out of it. I am Shobhajit sir signing off for today, and again we'll meet in the next class. Thank you students.